Hey there, and welcome back to Crown News, where we're discussing the 10 Principles of Economics by Gregory Mankiw. My name is Grace Baranis, and I'll be bringing you the information about how the economy works as a whole, which includes Principles 8 through 10. The second principle that I'll be talking about today is Principle number 9. Prices rise when the government prints too much money. Whenever this happens, inflation is sure to follow. Inflation is simply an increase in the overall level of prices in the economy. While typically inflation over the past 2 decades runs about 2% per year, in the 1970s, the overall prices more than doubled, and inflation was called public enemy number 1. Unsurprisingly, this issue of keeping a reasonable inflation rate is still discussed and debated by policymakers worldwide. The article I chose to represent this principle starts by saying, Fed analysis warns of economic ruin when governments print money to pay off debt. Economists from the Federal Reserve warn that printing money to pay off a country's debt has only ended in disaster for the nations that have tried it. When the government decides to issue bonds and orders banks to buy those bonds by printing more money, it leads to extremely high rates of inflation and economic ruin. The idea of printing lots of extra money in order to pay for the massive built-up debt aligns with the modern monetary theory, which argues that there's not a problem with government deficit spending in a country that runs up debt in its own currency, as long as inflation doesn't rise. Supporters of this theory also say that deficit spending can be used to fund national improvements without causing long-term damage. During and after the Great Recession, the Fed actually did choose to money print, but only for the purposes of bringing down long-term interest and stimulating economic growth. They did not, however, do it for the purposes of financing the national debt. Thank you.